Well, now we come to the Bob Hughes Lifetime Achievement Award, which honours the true greats of Irish writing. The writer who receives this award is going to be joining an illustrious list, one that includes John McGahern, Edna O'Brien, Maeve Binchy, Paul Durcan, and of course, Seamus Heaney. These are writers that we cherish, whose work is and will continue to be passed on through the generations. Let's take a look back at the amazing achievements of tonight's recipient.
The brilliance of his writing is the language, the fluidity, the way it flows. It's very stream of consciousness. It's very experimental for its time.
He is like Joyce. He can inhabit the consciousness of his characters. So there's no rhetoric in his work. It's very, very, very modern.
J.P. Donleavy is absolutely one of the great Irish writers.
One of the most brilliant men of words of our time, whose contribution to the theatre is magnificent and glorious and incomparable and unique and thrilling, lewd and glorious.
What I love about The Ginger Man is, I think fundamentally it's humour. The story of Sebastian Dangerfield, which is about a story ultimately of a low life. He manages to make him into an everyman, a guy that we all both dislike but identify with.
Ginger Man is as fresh today as when it was written. It's satiric, it's burlesque, it's comic, and it portrays the male mind, I think, in a very true sense. This book speaks to generations.
There is one story about J.P. Donleavy knew Brendan Behan, and Brendan Behan apparently broke into his cottage.
He saw this manuscript sitting on Mike's table and started editing it without Mike's permission and making remarks. And so he has the actual original manuscript of The Ginger Man is festooned with Behan's scribbles and exclamations and suggested cuts and amendments. It's an extraordinary document.
There was a publisher in Paris called Olympia who were willing to publish it, and who had published What by Beckett, and he thought this will be the kind of crowd I could get on board with. These are the people I would like to publish my work. But they also had another imprint which published, let's say, more salacious material. When his copies of the book arrived, it was very clear to him that he wasn't part of the Beckett imprint, he was part of the pornographic imprint. But there was an ongoing legal battle between Olympia and JP to get the book represented properly when the publisher went bankrupt and went to auction in 1970, so some 15 years after the book was originally published. So he bought the publishing house.
He's kind of a hard bargainer. He controls his own copyrights and he's never used an agent. And when I commissioned a foreword from him for a book that I was publishing at Lilliput Press, I was dreading having to negotiate a fee. But when he knew I was a cheesemaker, I made cheese with my then wife. He said he liked a truckle of cheese.
The play that we did together, The Beastly Beatitudes of Balthazar B., the Duke of York's Theatre, a play that people still come up and talk to me about. People say it's the best thing they ever saw in the theatre. If I could do anything, I now, with my silvery locks, these many a year since we last collaborated together, if I could do something about it, I would, but it seems I am powerless. I hope you're writing something at the moment and that we'll be able to read it soon.
I can't imagine being a teenager without Donleavy's books. I reread Meet My Maker, The Mad Molecule, which was one of my chosen core texts when I was a kid. It was bonkers in an excellent way. It was that playing with language that the Irish do so well, but in a very overt way. The Beastly Beatitudes and The Saddest Summer of Samuel S. They are wonderful. I'm glad that finally this great writer is recognised. Just talking about him, just thinking about the books, I look forward to grabbing one of them when I go home now and just losing myself in that specific world of his. What more can you expect from an author?
On behalf of Beefy and Balthazar and the whole glorious gang of your creations, I salute you and wish you many, many, many happy returns.
Well now, ladies and gentlemen, to present the Bob Hughes Lifetime Achievement Award, would you please welcome one of our very finest younger writers, Donal Ryan.
Five things writers secretly want their books to be. I won't say all writers because I'd hate to generalize. Burned, banned, adored, immortal, and multi-million selling. All of these can be attached to the work of J.P. Donleavy. The Ginger Man is regarded as one of the greatest novels of the 20th century. It has sold 50 million copies. It has drawn more tourists to Trinity College than the Book of Kells. First published in 1955 and described by Dorothy Parker as stunning, brilliant, the picaresque novel to stop them all, lusty, violent, wildly funny, a rigadoon of rascality, a bawled-out comic song of sex. The book was banned in Ireland until 1968. It was banned in my house in Nina until 1992. So I was 16 when I first read it, and I learned lots of things. I got great notions from it. I thought that someday I would, like its hero, Sebastian Dangerfield, rampage through Trinity and the streets of Dublin and life. But I became a civil servant instead, and so my rampaging was curtailed. This masterpiece, though, had changed my perception of the world. The Ginger Man, it seemed to me, was a thing that defied the fundamental laws of nature. These benign, inert paper pages and marks of ink could swell and ignite and supernova and fill that dark and infinite universe, the human mind, with light. Here was modernist fiction that was neither opaque nor esoteric. It was beautiful and vivid and real and funny. Sebastian Dangerfield transcended the boundaries of his own narrative. He gate-crashed Finnegan's Wake, seduced Mrs. Earwicker, wrecked the place, and left. Alone as always, sad as always, equal parts defiant and regretful, gloriously, extraordinarily human, conducting a chaotic disquisition on life, searching always for that silent minute, that evanescent moment where he can be the sanest man on earth, bled of his seed, rid of his mind. That book, and all of JP's books, never leave their readers, never fade to an impression as works of art sometimes can. Their echoes increase in volume with time and ring across this world of words in which we live. JP Mike Donleavy has given us a glorious body of works of fiction and drama and philosophy like Beastly Beatitudes of Balthazar B., Meet My Maker, The Mad Molecule, A Fairy Tale of New York, The Onion Eaters, Schultz, The Unexpurgated Code, A Complete Manual of Survival and Manners, all composed with a meticulously considered recklessness, a word-perfect wildness. He is the Jimi Hendrix of literature. As his friend and publisher Anthony Farrell of the Lilliput Press said this week, J.P. Donleavy gets down and dirty. He strikes that inner chord and melancholy we can all resonate with. And he is rock and roll in his universalism. J.P. Donleavy is a literary hero, a trailblazer, an icon. It's a privilege to thank him on behalf of all of us here for giving us works of art of unnatural magnificence. And just before I finish, here is one more message from a very dear friend.
I have been very, very lucky in my life to have met and spent some time with incredible heroes such as Allen Ginsberg, Marlon Brando, various, literary heroes. But my introduction to Mike Donleavy came courtesy of a dear, dear friend who I miss dearly, Dr. Hunter S. Thompson. These are rare birds, and writers such as J.P. Donleavy do not come around often at all, if at all. So I feel honored to have gotten to know Mike just a little bit. what he's done with his work, these somber, darkly comic gems, lyrical, beauteous prose. It's very, very rare that I've been so dazzled by such qualities, such capabilities of any man who has put pen to paper. There are very few writers who are worthy of such accolades as these, in my opinion. J.P. Donleavy is a master of his craft. His work will be lauded in the hearts and minds of young rebels to come for generations. So it is my absolute honor to salute you, Mike, for everything that you've given us, every single word that you might have tormented yourself over or laughed through. So thank you, man. Thank you. And my congratulations. You deserve everything, anything, everything, every accolade, every award, to every person that looks at you and thinks of you as a miracle. So, to you, Mike, I salute you. Lots of love, man. See you soon.
In the 60th anniversary year of The Ginger Man, the board of the Bord Gáis Energy Irish Book Awards is proud to honour the winner of the 2015 Bob Hughes Lifetime Achievement Award, J.P. Donleavy.
Well, thank you very much. I would just like to read a passage from the Unexpurgated Code, a complete manual of survival and manners. Upon accepting prizes, awards, and distinctions, do this gracefully and graciously. There is nothing worse than to see an overinflated ego thumbing his or her nose at the award committees and hoping thereby, with this gesture, to increase the publicity, which, by the way, it really does. When giving your acceptance speech, wear only your other superior rewards and medals. It is possible to hint lightheartedly at why this present distinction hasn't come earlier in your more unknown and needful years. But anyway, you can add better late than never. Leave a little pause here for nervous laughter. And the audience should find you endearing. Thank you.